is what's best for business.
I gotta go take a big hairy dump.
Oh my God.
Next main event, a tag team match.
Yes. 26.
Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast, the wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you your wrestling news of the week and a wrestling topic this week as well. My name is Turbo Tony. We're here with the amazing, talented, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Where are they?
Matt Marsander.
You're hiding someone from me, aren't you?
That's just a bit of a reference to the Oscar fail by John Travolta. Did you catch that?
I didn't. I haven't watched any of the Oscars.
Oh, yeah. It was a while ago now. But, yeah, basically he came out and he announced Idina Menzel as Adele Dazeem. It's been going around a lot, so I thought I'd put that in there. Yeah. So Matt Marsander, everyone, give him a round of applause.
That just went over my head.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
it, yeah. Oh, well. Welcome to the show, guys. This is where we, like I said, we review every segment of Raw, and what an interesting Raw this was. A lot for us to talk about. We actually have some wrestling news this week. Oh, my dear God, yes, we do. Which we haven't had the last couple of weeks, and I refer back to my previous statement a couple of weeks ago. So there's going to be loads of wrestling news, and yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
And then it just completely died.
Yeah. So there's that. We've got the wrestling news. We've got a Raw review as we do every week. And if you're new to the show, then we review every segment of Raw, even the little small segments. We review those as well. And at the end of the show, we have a topic this week. We're going to talk about Wrestling Evolution, not the actual group Evolution, but it's just because obviously with the launch of the WWE Network coming out, being able to go back and watch a lot of old matches, and how easily fans were satisfied with the product at that time, compared to how demanding they are now on the type of wrestling that is done nowadays. So we're going to have a quick look. Wrestling 30 years ago, wrestling now, and see what's changed, and go into the reasons why that possibly is the case. So, wrestling news this week, Matt. Did you know, this is the first of our wrestling news, Zack Ryder has started a new show. If you remember?
I have watched that.
Yeah. If you remember, if you haven't seen it before, Zack Ryder actually got over for a little while using a web series that he put up on a YouTube channel. It was the Z True Long Island Story, and basically it was him. It was actually quite entertaining, some of the episodes where he was basically kind of shooting against WWE a little bit, and you'd have.
I don't know. A lot of it wasn't necessarily a shoot against them. There were like this is Zack Ryder, this is the WWE, and it's like this is WWE putting Zack Ryder on the back burner.
Yeah.
And it's like there was smart little bits like that, but there wasn't that many digs to WWE.
Yeah, and he got himself, at the end of the day, he got a lot of acclaim because he kind of got himself like his own push.
Publicity out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so WWE got him a United States title run, even though that lasted probably all of a month. And I remember there being a Raw back in a while ago with CM Punk as the WWE champion, Daniel Bryan as the World Heavyweight champion, and Zack Ryder as the US champion. They had them all standing in the ring to close off Raw, and that was actually one of the worst rated Raws in recent years. So but Zack Ryder, obviously, as you know now, he's not on Raw much anymore. He's fallen out the ascendancy. He's barely on Superstars or Main Event or anything like that. He started a new show called The Last Resort with a Z because it's Zack Ryder.
Zack.
He's only uploaded one episode as kind of like an introductory episode. And the fans have responded to this a lot different as they responded to it the first time. The fan response is overwhelmingly negative to this new show. And I think the reason for that being is because, Zack Ryder got over, but there's a serious problem with his actual gimmick. That people are just done with it by now. No one could take someone seriously when they're going woo 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 all the time. At first we kind of jumped on the bandwagon and everything, and that's fine, but there was nothing beyond what we saw. There wasn't any depth to Zack Ryder when he actually got into that situation. I think that cost him quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's sort of like you're stuck with a guy who was essentially nothing more than, it's like, people like Jersey Shore. Yeah, you're our Jersey Shore guy.
Yeah.
And that is essentially.
If you want to see,
he was
a spoken word version of Zack Ryder's theme music, go check out the latest Let's Talk is Jericho podcast. He does a spoken word version of Zack Ryder's entrance theme. It's quite hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to watch it. Listen
to it. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this. I mean, yeah, fair enough. This trying to get over. This is, he's basically doing the same thing as he did beforehand, to try and get over as well. I think the problem is that he's got a serious gimmick issue, and he either needs to change that, or he's not going anywhere. That's basically the bottom line of it, really. Unless he gives the fans reason to reinvest in him, there's not really much to the guy. The problem is, I don't know if he can do a serious, gimmick or anything along those lines.
I don't think he can now. I think it's actually been sort of damaging to him, because people just will always now remember him as the woo guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he came back with like, oh, I'm here with a new serious gimmick, and like I'm here like for real and all that lot, it's like woo.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the only way that he could get rid of those old demons is turn heel, and I don't think Zack Ryder wouldn't be a good heel. It doesn't matter what gimmick you give him as a heel. I don't think he can do that. I don't think that's in his makeup.
No.
He wasn't that very good as a heel when he first came in, as you remember, as an Edge clone with Kurt Hawkins, if you remember back in those days.
Yeah.
So yeah, not particularly great. I don't know where this goes for him, and like I said, he needs the fans on his side, and the fan response to him has been very, very bad. And I don't really blame them. They saw their lot of Zack Ryder. They didn't like what they saw once he got there. As soon as he got that push, he had to make sure that he took every moment of that. And the problem is he played it too safe for all the things that he did when he got to that moment. He didn't show the fans anything that he'd been doing before. He just was in a different area at that point. He was champion. But that's it. We ought to say. Now, I mean, I do like Zack Ryder because he did get himself over, but trying to do the same thing to get over again, I think the WWE fans, or just wrestling fans in general, aren't going to stick to it at all.
That's it.
So, second bit of news. We obviously, the Hall of Fame coming up. We have Linda McMahon is set to induct the Ultimate Warrior into the Hall of Fame. The reason why I found this quite interesting, for a few reasons, is Linda has distanced herself quite publicly away from WWE in recent years during her political charge that failed, and all those millions of dollars down the toilet. She failed twice to get into power, and she, whether her relationship with WWE damaged that, we don't know. That doesn't really bother me in that anyway. We don't live in the US, but
That's it.
So it's just interesting because she's actively distanced herself from WWE in the recent years. So it seems a bit odd that she'd come back for this. I know it's quite a unique occasion, but still under the WWE banner, it makes me think that she's not going to make another political run, because if she really wants to get away from WWE, then you need years away from the company to do that. But I thought the other thing this is interesting is because of these, obviously Linda and Warrior have got some very strong political views.
Yes, and it's very much been known that they have come to sort of verbal blows, sort of thing.
Well, I don't think Linda said anything bad against Warrior, but Warrior's had a few things to say, that's for sure. So I know there's a lot of respect there. I know that back in those days, if you're a top guy, then you would have been very much involved with the McMahon family. They would have kept you close for obvious reasons. They didn't want you going over to the AWA or WCW. So even though that did happen with Warrior, because they have a very big and almost very public falling out with the Warrior and the McMahon family, but I mean that's all come to terms now. Obviously, with Warrior now doing,
he's got his Hall of Fame spot, so I think that's all water under the bridge now.
Yeah. No, I mean, if it's not under the bridge, it's almost like a Bret Hart thing. It's like a bridge to that,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when Bret Hart got back and he got his Hall of Fame induction, he didn't show up on Raw for like a good 2 years after he got his Hall of Fame induction. So, I mean, it could be something along those lines or anything we go on from there. But I found that was quite interesting just because of how things are, especially with Linda being the one to induct him. But we'll see how that goes anyway.
So let's see whether it's true as well. I mean, I don't know your source. This is the first I've heard speculation of it. But
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So this is talking about speculation. This is all rumours. This next bit of news, so take it with a pinch of salt.
Please
AMC.
Don't tell me it's the faction.
No.
Oh, carry on.
Okay, AMC, the television company behind the likes of The Walking Dead, which Matt has not seen, funny enough. So,
I have not.
No.
I have enough TV series to get through at the moment.
Yeah, to be fair. AMC, a big channel over in a network over in America.
In America.
Yeah. They don't do anything much over here, so we don't know what their programming's like. But it was rumored that apparently they're very interested in purchasing WWE. Now, like I said, take this with a pinch of salt. It seems very unlikely, and if there are any talks at the earliest of preliminary stages, and what I mean by earliest preliminary stages, as in no contacts really made, they're just kind of sizing up what they're going to do, and they may not do anything. The reason I put this in here is because obviously with a lot of stuff going with WWE and the network launching, and the fact that they did not renew their contract with their current TV network, makes things like this more interesting, because it's where WWE is going to end up being housed outside of the network, and that's still very important, even with the network being as it is. So
there's a stage where it's like, oh, the network. It's like, not everyone has the network.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So they're still going to have to find TV time for it.
I mean, obviously over here in England, we've said this before, that all those rights in Europe have been snapped up by Sky, so that's fine. And obviously like I said, we're not even dealing with the network over here yet. It's not announced, even though we could get it if you like, and I may even look into getting that anyway. But yeah, well, this is going to be interesting to see where the house, because I mean that makes a lot of difference. I mean, remember back in the times where WWE was shipping over from Skype, sorry, that's what we're talking on now. Spike, sorry, which obviously houses now TNA, but they shifted over from Spike back to USA. There was a lot of there was a lot of talk on the actual shows during that time where they were very vocal about against being Spike, and that the fact they were moving home to USA. So this could be a big vocal point of what actually happens on the shows the next couple of weeks. I don't think anything big's going to happen until after WrestleMania at this point.
God, no.
That's the way it's going to go. So, final bit of news this week, CM Punk. We're going to do an overall of CM Punk here. Obviously, he's still away on his sabbatical, apparently, from what Vince McMahon tells everyone. There is a lot of rumours going around that apparently he may be going to MMA. And like I said, this is all just rumours and everything like that. One great line that I heard Ken Shamrock says, who we've seen actual fight in the octagon.
You say fight?
yeah, it wasn't a very pretty fight for him in his face. But he says what me and Matt have been thinking for a while, that CM Punk's been suffering quite badly from spoilt brat syndrome. So, yeah, quite strong words there by Ken Shamrock. But I mean, even though we saw Shamrock get knocked the hell out, I'd still put money on Shamrock beating the crap out of CM Punk. I would.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that being said, also CM Punk, I don't know whether he has or not, because we don't get this show over here, but obviously talking about The Walking Dead earlier, they do a show after The Walking Dead called The Talking Dead, where they basically talk about the show that's just been aired. We don't get it over here in England, or in Europe, because I don't live in England, I live in Ireland. Yeah, so he appeared on that, or he's going to appear on that this week or next week. I don't know if that's actually happened yet. But the thing is, I know with WWE are quite kind of gypped about the fact that he's appearing on the show. One, because they're thinking if he was able to go to the show, then why isn't he able to come and talk about why things are going bad in WWE?
Well, there was a lot of things, just like if he can go to LA to do something like that, yet he couldn't go down the road.
Yeah, to Chicago.
To Chicago, where Raw was only, last week.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, me and Matt have been very critical of CM Punk during this whole thing, just simply because he's in contract. If he was out of contract, we'd be kind of on his side. But, if you want to, but at the end of the day, if you're in contract, you're kind of contractually obliged. And I'm really surprised.
This will be his first televised, his first TV appearance, since leaving.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, so obviously, he doesn't have to answer.
I think that's another thing that holds a lot of sort of worry, because then it's like, well, will the WWE get mentioned? What's he going to say?
Well,
and it's essentially WWE just like, he could say some really stupid things.
Yeah. He could, but I mean, I don't think CM Punk's stupid enough to do that, because if he's under contract, he said, listen, if he's out of contract and decides to bury WWE, there's nothing bad on that, because he's out of contract. But because he's still in contract and he decides to badmouth the company, CM Punk ain't stupid. If he's going to do that, he's going to get sued. That's the way it gets go, If they haven't thrown the book at him now, which I don't think they have, and I'm quite shocked they haven't, then they definitely will then if he starts bad-mouthing the company. That's definitely the way. Especially this close to WrestleMania, especially this close to the network launching, they will spare no quarter. They want this to succeed at any stage. And like I said, apparently it's just Vince McMahon's love of CM Punk that's actually keeping him in good graces still at the moment. So
that's it.
We'll see how long that holds out, I expect the whole CM Punk thing will become more of an issue after WrestleMania because, I mean, at the moment, they're not even going to think about dealing with CM Punk until WrestleMania is done.
Bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, bigger things, yeah. And they're still going to make a lot of money through Mania, even with CM Punk not being there.
Oh, definitely.
So that's the news for the week. Quite a bit of chunky bit of news there for you guys. There is a few more articles if you'd like us to talk about.
I was going to say, before, when you start going on about the NC like buying out of like the being the sort of the network for the WWE will go to, I feared, because I don't know if you've read this, but I saw this recently, a new potential faction of the disgruntled wrestlers. You know, recently The Miz just like, oh, why is he on the show and I'm not, and all things like that. The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, and possibly Zack Ryder. I saw this. I can't remember what the thread I saw this on, but it's just like as like a disgruntled faction. I
could see the
I can see why they do it, but no, please don't.
No, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think Zack Ryder would work in that team. I think you could pair Miz and Ziggler up together in a team like that. I mean, it gives guys a bit more reason to have TV time. But there's no way they're going to get on Raw, and that storyline ain't going to run anywhere before WrestleMania. So it's they're not.
It's just like even if it's after WrestleMania, like I don't even care if it's leading up to SummerSlam. I don't want to see it.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, but yeah, I mean, I've
got the Wyatts and Roman Reigns to worry about. I do not care about the Miz and Ziggler trying again.
And you're quite right.
Spotlight.
Like we're big fans of Ziggler, and they have buried Ziggler in an artistic fashion. But the Miz, I mean, his one WrestleMania main event, he was a body to be there to do a job. He wasn't there because he was good. And he was there because he liked to do a lot of media appearances, and people knew him from previously. With this whole faction business, I'm sure they probably will do something like that. I mean, they didn't have the Miz come out and do all those rants about nothing, and it does make sense if they do that. Yeah, that hasn't even been on Raw the last couple of weeks, but I mean, they could always revisit that,
This is where they sit. This is where we see him like attack Alex Riley because he's on the panel and the Miz isn't.
He's getting more TV time than the Miz.
I've put the thought into the WWE creative team. Don't do that. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's it. It's almost like we said this before on a topic we did about WWE being too bloated, the fact they have too much of an open roster, and like even then they've got like 3 hours on a main show to get everyone TV time, but even that's not enough. There's something seriously wrong. They may have hired just way too many people, and they don't tend to want to let people go as much anymore. You don't hear stories of them releasing tons and tons of talent. It just doesn't tend to happen. Yeah. I mean, JTG is still in with a job with that company. How, I do not know, but we'll beat around the bush when it comes
miraculously.
To that. Yeah.
Well, there's a 30-man battle royale. Maybe we'll see him there.
God. Yeah. Maybe not. Hopefully not.
Definitely.
No. Okay. We'll go into the Raw review this week because it was quite an interesting Raw.
Mm-hmm.
The last few Raws have been quite interesting. We must give a little bit of kudos.
Definitely been building up pretty well for Mania.
Yeah. Last week we were very critical, not of Raw, but we were critical of the fact that the storylines seemed to be a little bit behind themselves. They basically gave all their storylines a big line of coke and told them, okay, just go mental on this show. So everything's sped up a bit on this show, which is fair enough.
Probably was now turned into one of my favourite segments. Occupy Raw was brilliant.
Yeah, we'll get into that as a huge part.
That's a huge part later on in the show.
Yeah, definitely. So this show this week emanated from the King's old stomping ground, Memphis.
Yep.
So you got a
which King had the worst looking shirt ever.
You seem to have, I mean, I was actually of a rare occasion. Normally, my wife will kind of watch over my shoulder with this event, but she watched the majority of it with me this week, and that's the first thing that she said. She was like, "What in the blue hell was that?
Apparently
would
Vince
you wear that, Matt? Would you wear that?
No, hell no. Apparently Vince wasn't even happy. It's
really
backstage watching on monitors, what the hell is he wearing, sort of thing.
I don't even know how to explain it really to people who haven't seen Raw this week. It was abysmal, really.
Like an Elvis jacket in some awkward off gold sort of thing, wasn't it?
You know something's bad for anyone if it looks like if Lady Gaga wore it, it'd look part of her normal attire.
Yeah.
So that's quite bad, you know.
That's it. You see Lady Gaga wearing it. It's like, yep, that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal for her. But yeah, anyone else wearing that? No, that's not normal at all. Yeah, quite bonkers. But yeah, so the King's bad, crazy get up aside, the crowd was still quite hot for this show. And
especially with Hogan.
Yeah, they've had a few good crowds leading up to Mania, and so that's good. So yeah, as you said, Hulk Hogan, he kicked off the show as he did 2 weeks ago. Got a good response as well, which I think is good. You know, you don't want to bring him out and start the show every week leading up to it, because that big pop for WrestleMania will die down if he's not. Yeah, that's it. If he's on
sort of like oversaturation of Hogan. Sort of
and that can happen much quicker than you think. Yeah. I mean, look at his TNA run. I mean, people were just sick of him within weeks, and he stayed there for years. So
look at Christian and Sheamus matches.
Which we'll treat you to another one on this show. But anyway, he's been teasing a big announcement over Twitter and all the social media that he was having a big announcement for WrestleMania. He came up with this awesome idea, brother, that he was going to have a 30-man over-the-top rope battle royale for the first ever, I think the first and only, I don't even know if he said it was going to become a normal thing, I don't think it will, the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy. Now, while I like the idea of like having this match, I wouldn't have made it a 30-man over-the-top rope battle royal.
Basically, we're going to have a WrestleMania Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Now, if they're planning on doing this one time, you know, that's fine, that's okay. But I mean, that kind of takes the gloss really, really badly off of the actual Royal Rumble match.
It's not for, well, at the moment, all it's for is like a commemorative trophy of Andre the Giant, rather than like, oh, the winner actually gets something out of it.
It gets the title match at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I get what you mean, but like, I mean, even having two of the similar match will not make people. I mean, when Royal Rumble goes round, because you only get it once a year, that's what makes it so special. But I mean, if they're only doing this once just for WrestleMania 30, then I think I can say that. But you could have done something different, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the Royal Rumble.
Well, apparently they're getting rid of Money in the Bank pay-per-view, so we'll have Money in the Bank back at WrestleMania.
Yeah, we've had nothing to say about that this year, but we'll see about that. Maybe they'll. I mean, the thing is, Money in the Bank pay-per-view actually does some really good business, so I don't know if they actually would do that in the long run. You know, it's good money for them.
Yeah, but the more interesting Money in the Bank matches have all been at Mania rather than. I found the pay-per-view ones to be quite tame.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I mean, that's the same as some of the Elimination Chambers that have been recently, bar the one that we had this year, which was pretty decent, pretty brutal. They've been lacking in quality over time.
Okay.
But so yeah, John Cena came out. He does this thing. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, you yourself would have. But when John Cena comes out, if there's a legend that's out there, doesn't even matter if he's talked to him before. He proceeds to put his tongue directly on their butthole and basically just
Hogan's bleached ass.
Yeah. He perks up real nice and basically kisses that legend's ass, and he was on fine form.
To be fair, he's had enough practice with Vince.
Yeah, that's that. He was on fine form with this. He was, saying Hulkamania, never die, and all the same garbage that he comes out with. The same stuff he said about Ric Flair when he came out with the whole
Randy Orton same stuff he's ever said about everyone. Like when The Rock came back and he sort of gave the mutual aspirate, like. You know, it was sort of like with The Rock, where he gave like the mutual sort of like,
I know,
you are the people's champion, and then they had beef.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, sort of. I can see where like he comes out and he's just like, oh, Hulkamania, the people and all the people's champ and everything like that, and it just carries on.
I remember him having
I just want to taunt with you because you're like me but old.
I remember back ages ago when. I think it was Daniel Bryan said that he loves wrestling, whereas John Cena is an entertainer and he loves the company. And then John Cena said, "I don't like something along the lines of I love this company and everything like this." So it seemed a bit odd that with Hulk Hogan being in TNA for the last 2 years, that obviously he just seems so happy to see Hulk Hogan. But regardless,
he is Hogan.
Yeah. So I wonder, actually, talking about that, actually, I wonder when he's that age, if he's going to expect everyone that comes out, if he comes out, people to be kissing his
30 years, you mean like 20 years down the line? The C Nation still runs riot.
Yeah, oh dear. All those kids will be like in their 25 by then, maybe they.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like they will be
an army of grown
30.
Men. Yeah, doing the you can't see me thing just doesn't go well. Now After this, during this, Cena decides he will enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but gets immediately interrupted by the brilliant Adele Dazeem. Sorry, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt cuts. We've been talking about it. I mean, I'm going to shock you one day and say that he does a bad promo.
And provided us with vocal gold.
Yeah, vocal gold. Cena responded. I've got a problem with how Cena responded to him in here. So, Wyatt basically said along the lines, brilliant line. He said, "If you look down on me, you'll see an enemy. If you look up at me, you'll see a friend. If you look in my eyes, you'll see a god." I thought that was a brilliant line. But Cena responded, basically saying, using his comedy, I don't like how Cena does this. The Cena character does this with everyone he goes against. And it's something that The Rock does, but,
it works when The Rock does it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't like the way that Cena tends to do it. He basically ends up joking at the Wyatt family, makes a few jokes at their expense. If I were booking the Wyatt family, I would have no one on the roster do that to these guys. I would keep the mystique up. You know, I think that this kind of destroys a little bit. I mean, I can
sort of understand where, because like Bray Wyatt's promo was very much like you consider yourself like above everyone on the sort of like a god level, but you're all liars and there's nothing but truth. And then Bray Wyatt refers to himself as a god, so I can get like the whole hypocritical bit that Cena took from it all. But
yeah, I mean, it was still he still makes it. He made jokes in towards.
Oh yeah, probably like dicks.
Yeah. Now, I obviously like Wyatt's response. You know, he tries to make it as serious as he can and everything like that. But I just don't like it. I mean, it's not the first time Cena's done this. He kind of like dresses down people that's gonna go against him and jokes them. And I think that's fine if you're going against someone that doesn't have like a gimmick like these guys. But it's very important for the Wyatt family to continue the creepiness and the illusion these guys are really strong, powerful, and if they come for you, there's nothing you can do, they're going to take you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that I think that was just a little bit damaging towards that, but you know, I think Wyatt's good enough on the mic not to be an issue. No, Cena retracted his Battle Royal match and challenged Wyatt to a match instead. There was a really now, like I said, with this whole thing, I mean, I know what I said before, and just to go back into that, I can't actually be too bad on Cena because, I mean, he's not in the main event of this year's WrestleMania, and I really highly anticipate that he's going to lose this match. I think that Bray Wyatt will go over him, which is a grand statement to make, I know, but I do think Cena will lose this year at WrestleMania.
I'm hoping so, but then Cena doesn't go over. No, Cena doesn't let people go over him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Cena goes over a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really firmly believe Bray Wyatt needs the victory here, and especially what the storyline is saying. Cena's saying, if you're going to be the new generation, you have to go through me. What F you to all these young guys that are coming up, if Cena gets the win. It's like, no, he's always going to be top no matter what.
I'm top spot.
Yeah.
Like, if you want it, tough shit.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm top spot.
This had a really weird transition from this match. It looked like the Wyatt family were going to surround the ring and take on the Hulkster and Cena himself. And then it cut just as they were walking into the ring. I don't know if this has the same for you, to commercial. And then when it came back, Cena and Rowan were fighting in the ring in a match. It seemed like a really odd transition.
It was really badly cut.
Yeah, it was. So, I mean, I thought that, and obviously a generic wrestling fan being my wife who watched the show with me, she saw that as well and thought it was a little bit odd. So yeah, a bit of bad camera work there. Or maybe the segment ran on a little bit too long and they had to catch up time. That's why they did it before anything along those lines. But it just seemed a bit odd. This match itself wasn't anything special. In fact, it wasn't really good.
They got Rowan over as a big force, especially considering he was essentially ragdolling Cena the whole way through.
Yeah, Cena had to resort to the most lethal finisher in WWE history.
Sneaky
roll-up pin. It's lethal. I mean, no one. I mean, if Brock Lesnar busts that out against The Undertaker at WrestleMania, you can say goodbye to the streak. It really can. Like, that roll-up pin. Look at the guys it's taken out, you know? Just, wow. So yeah, it was a roll-up pin. The match itself, like I said, wasn't entertaining, really. It was just stop.
An opening.
Yeah, an opening. The Wyatts looked like they were going to attack in the end, and they do the same as they did with the Shield. They backed off and
all the way, and then backed off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't nearly as good, obviously, as it was with the Shield. The Shield one was brilliant, but this is fine, and it is building up towards the Wyatt Cena match. There was more towards the end of this involving Wyatt, and I'm actually quite excited for that match. I think it'll be good. God help us if Cena does get the victory, because I fear a riot. I really do. Because if anyone deserves, just with his promo work, to have beaten one of the top guys in the company, then Bray Wyatt is one of those guys. He is a verbal genius, shall we say? We had a Titantron promo with the Authority, Steph and Triple H. They gave us an apology to Daniel Bryan. They were very apologetic, saying that he was a B+ player and that he should understand.
Still basically, I don't give a shit what you're saying. I just demand an apology.
Yeah.
We're sorry for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean they're going along the storyline now that their two A+ players are the WrestleMania main event title match, which is quite ironic because I mean we'll talk about this match more later on. But if these two are going to wrestle, you'd see how A-star they would be in a really shocking match with all the fans shitting all over it. But she says that Steph says there will be severe consequences if Bryan doesn't do as they say. Which is quite ironic considering one of the best segments of Raw I've seen, which is later on in the show. And it's just set up that beautifully, so good for them, it was fine. Ryback, the laxative, went against the Usos. Quite ironic that Ryback would be involved in a tag team title match with the New Age Outlaws.
Was it a title match?
No, it wasn't a title match, this one. But it was, obviously they're going against the champions anyway. Obviously Mr. Ass having his dysentery.
That's it. Well, you had the New Age Outlaws on commentary, which was good. Which was probably the highlight of the match.
Yeah. And to be fair, them on commentary just seems like the best role for them, which seems bad on Billy Gunn because he doesn't,
Because Billy Gunn doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
Just paying Billy Gunn to sit there.
Yeah, exactly. The resident slapping posts, Ryback and Axel, I wouldn't say get destroyed by the new tag team champions, the Usos, but they get systematically beat. It doesn't. Come on, we know that they weren't going to beat.
It was a very cookie cutter match.
It was. It was a match to kind of ascertain these guys are the champs and they're for real sort of thing. We know that anyway, but obviously they feel they have to do that. And Ryback and Curtis Axel seem to be the guys that they just want to beat. They are the tag team jobbers.
That's it.
So that's the way that works.
We even got the little corner promo video from Ryback, just like, oh, I am entering into the 30-man battle royale of WrestleMania, and I will prove that I'm the biggest. The biggest big guy? It's just okay, Ryback. There. You've fallen quite a way from a year ago.
Like I said, we said a couple of episodes that he was actually. I mean, Ryback, I've got a lot of respect for him because he didn't even let Triple H bury him. He buried himself, so he gave Triple H a day off with that, so that's fine. Ryback, if he wants to bury him, he did really. So it looks like they're going to build up to the Outlaws are kind of skimping out on their rematch. It looks like they're either going to do it leading up to Mania, or they're going to do it at Mania, which is fine. Now, we did say last week when the Usos won the belts that the payoff should have been at WrestleMania, but considering the plans,
I think we're going to be seeing the rematch at Mania.
Yeah, and considering the plans of Bryan, it looks like we're going to get one hell of an uber payoff to his storyline, and that may be more than enough at Mania. So they maybe think that do this building up to it, because I mean, listen, if the Usos win the belt and Bryan gets his wins at WrestleMania, then no one's going to remember the Usos winning.
Definitely, that's it. It's like if it plays out, if a story for Bryan gets the payout, nothing will matter.
Yeah, it won't compare to it.
It was like the biggest WrestleMania. What happened? Bryan won a title, and what else? I forget.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, if that is the plan, then I think they may have done that right, because I mean, you do the payoff building up to the momentum leading up to WrestleMania, give them the rematch, and that should be, in all fairness, the last match the Outlaws have. I've seen enough of them in the ring. Now, if they want to put Road Dogg on commentary, I'm more than happy for them to do that. I think he's well.
We'll lose King. Yeah. I think JBL, Cole, and Road Dogg.
Yeah, but then we've got two heels and a face there, don't you? That's the only thing. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, they're not going to do that because they just, they're never going to get rid of King. They never are. But
King will just be reanimated. There'll be somebody waiting next to him with chest paddles. He's died again. Carry on talking.
Yeah, I mean, Road Dogg's as good on the mic as he ever has been.
You need a slice of Road Dogg's mic talent today, Tony.
Yeah, I need a little bit of that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with someone as good as that on the mic, then why don't you just pair him up with a wrestler that's not doing as good, and make him be a manager for a while? I just think if you've got someone that good on the mic, use them. But I don't know how they'll go from there. So backstage segment after that, we had Kane, who was talking down the Shield. He was saying them that they've been being
naughty Shield.
Naughty Shield. He was wagging his finger at them, verbally. And the Shield's quite comedically were having absolutely none of it. They spoke back in great fashion and kept saying that he kept getting beaten by Bryan, which was right. I actually rather enjoyed this segment with the Shield and Kane.
I did.
I thought it was quite good. And I mean, the Shield.
I think it was quite good considering Kane did the whole "you should go out and exercise your demons." It's like, we might have to exercise a couple other ones as well. It's like, ooh.
I don't know if you noticed though, the Shield are more and more face each week as a faction. I mean, as a group, I mean, individually, obviously, no.
I don't know if they're nothing. They're still the same faction. Yeah. It's just like you don't tell the Shield what to do. Well, especially Triple H.
Yeah.
But it's like they'll do their own thing. They'll stand up for what they feel is the right thing.
Yeah.
And so essentially, Kane was just going, "I'm going to boss you around," and they were like, "No, you're not."
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So they're the same thing. It's just people just love the Shield. So
I mean,
they're meant to be bad. They're meant to be a faction that originally started off with just like coming down and triple power bombing people, but now it's just like everyone loves the Shield.
Yeah, you don't see them coming out and attacking all the big faces anymore. That's why I say that they're looking more face to face each week.
Yeah.
Look, listen, like when Stone Cold Steve Austin was a huge heel, he got so much positive fan response for being the Stone Cold character. He had to go face, and it happens sometimes. It does happen. I think that's
But nothing changed with the Stone Cold character. That was the thing.
Well, no, the thing that changed with Stone Cold is that they turned him heel at a point that he was so hot that there was no reason to turn him heel at all. That was there was a few issues with Stone Cold. I'm sure we'll do a Superstar Spotlight on one of the biggest names in wrestling over the coming weeks. But with the Shield, I mean, I'm enjoying them at the moment. And like I said, I still think they will do the match. I mean, there was no sort of on this week's Raw of them breaking up. There was nothing like that.
Yeah, there was none of that this time round. Of them sort of like falling to bits. Like I was expecting it in the upcoming match.
I mean, if we get a few more weeks of the Shield being together, I mean, I'm fine for that. If they eventually break up, that's okay, and I kind of expect that. You want these guys to try to hand at singles competition, but if we get a few more weeks of these guys being as part of a group, then I'm absolutely fine with that at all. They've, more Shield the better, and the fact is that they've done phenomenally as a group over the last 18 months.
Oh, that's it. So they definitely are sort of turning out to be one of the best factions the WWE have created.
Yeah, ever. And that's quite a big statement. When you stack them up against a lot of the other three-man teams. I mean, I'm sure the Wyatts will get there. They're doing great as it is at the moment. But I think overall, as a group, the Shield and the way they've been booked have been made to look really strong, and they've had some really great matches. And the fact is, you got 3 potential top stars in that faction now.
Oh, easily.
But I mean, we've always been good on the Shield on the podcast, and rightfully so. Most people are, because they've done really, really well in everything that they've done, really. So the next match, we're talking about sagas and matches that keep going on and on forever. Big E faced one of the Real Americans this week. Big shock. I mean, he must be getting sick of this by now. The rivalry of Big E and Real American matches continues. This time,
it continues to fuel the Swagger Cesaro.
Yeah, right? That's what it's there for, isn't it? I mean, this time Swagger at the start says he's going to take this. Then he expects Cesaro to interfere, which he doesn't. Big E basically then lays waste to Swagger. It wasn't a great match. It was all built around that one little thing.
That one little bit of, you were supposed to help me. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to wrestle this match yourself.
Yeah, sort of thing. Now, afterwards, the pair I think it was quite funny as Swagger gets in Cesaro's face, and as soon as Cesaro decides he wants to get involved, then, he wants nothing part of that. And Coulter decides to just almost like melt down. He says his nerves won't take it. He kind of strips off a little bit, which is a bit shocking. And he orders them to shake hands with each other.
Which they do.
But it's like, yeah, they're shaking hands.
It's that sort of shaking. Yeah, it's that sort of like shaking hands, but it's like I've got my eye on you, not letting go, sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I expect that there's going to be more of this until WrestleMania. You could see Cesaro turning on him at the Battle Royal at Mania. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, you got no other spot this close to WrestleMania for these guys, and with this Battle Royal, it kind of fixes a lot of the issues of people not having a spot at WrestleMania. They just go into this Rumble, they get their Mania moment if there is. I think Cesaro will be booked very strong if he's in that if he's in that Battle Royal as well. May eliminate a lot of people. So yeah, that big. He may, like I said, he may just snap and then just attack Swagger during the middle of this match and like pick his moment. He's going face, it's going to happen, and
matter of time.
WrestleMania seems like a good place to show.
Well, if you say he's going face,
yeah, he is face now, and everyone just cheers for him. It's just the actual official turn is going to happen very, very soon. So
yeah, I think if the moment he goes, just like the Real Americans, is dead. So I think I'm pretty sure Cesaro is the sole reason people chant "We the People."
Yeah, I mean the people started chanting. I mean, Coulter's still good. I guess I don't know if they will just kill it off. I think having Coulter and Swagger on there, they might get someone else to fill that slot, and they can keep the tag team going for a little while. I don't know, but we know this for sure. Cesaro ain't going to be a part of it. He's definitely going to be out of that faction. That much is assured from there on out. So. Leading on from one guy that's quite interesting, and we're quite interested to see wrestling WrestleMania. One match we're definitely interested in watching on WrestleMania: The Undertaker against Brock Lesnar. Yeah, and you've got to say the Brock. There's a U and an H before the R, so it's Brock. That's how we have to say that. So Undertaker made an appearance. And before he can say anything, he is promptly interrupted by the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. No? Okay, sorry. Paul Heyman gets interrupted by Paul Heyman. And what I actually really liked about this promo is that Heyman has this great thing where he builds up other people, and then he turns. You're waiting for it, aren't you? You're waiting for him to, oh yeah, he's giving this guy so many compliments, but he's going to turn it around. And he did this on this one as well.
Oh yeah.
And if you talk about two guys on the roster, you can bank on doing great promos each week. Get those two guys to have a promo off at WrestleMania. Please, can we have a Heyman versus Bray Wyatt promo at WrestleMania? I know it's so out of place.
I know, but
just come on,
it'd be gold.
Just have these guys. For no reason, even just before the show starts. Just do it. That'd be great.
I was going to say it's a dark segment, but then we wouldn't see it. Yeah. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
It's like, have you seen recently there was a picture going around online? It was in a dark segment, but it was the Shield sat in Bray Wyatt's chair, and Rollins is wearing the mask, and it's like, follow the Shield.
Yeah. Which means that if you go to these live events, guys, there's a lot of live events going on at the moment, you will see that match. They're still doing the Shield versus the Wyatts match, I believe, or they're doing at least a few of them out there. So, yeah, if you still want to see that match, it's still there. You can still watch it, and I would highly recommend you go see that match if you can still see that match in live events. So, very good.
Let's go see a live event.
Sorry?
Just go see a live event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people I've seen a lot of local live wrestling events. I've never been to any wrestling event that I haven't enjoyed. Whether it be a big or small one, it's still really entertaining. So if you ever have the chance to go see a wrestling show if it's in your area, just do it, because you won't, especially if you haven't done it before, because it will be something that you'll be really, really enjoy.
That's it.
So yeah, Paul Heyman basically said, that he actually worships the streak. He worships Taker. He's been there for so long. He holds him in high regard, and that's the reason why he doesn't want Brock Lesnar to face Undertaker.
I mean, it all essentially came down to Heyman begging Undertaker, don't have this match.
Yeah.
Because the streak needs to continue, and it won't continue if you face Brock.
Yeah. Barack, yeah. Barack, yeah. People are just going to think we're talking about the US president now.
I was thinking of calling him Barack Lesnar.
Okay. So yeah, Taker responds by saying that the fear of the unknown is the greatest fear of all. He must not have been, Billy's tag team partner. You know, back in the Billy and Chuck days. I guess that would have been really unknown, really, really fearful. But there we are. Yeah, I thought this was a really great promo, more on Heyman's part rather than Taker's. But you know, you wouldn't expect.
Well, Taker only said like 3 lines.
Yeah,
That's not
and it's what you would expect from Taker, isn't it? You can't really critic him.
You don't have Taker. Taker doesn't do promos. Taker literally just comes out and goes, "At the end of the day, at WrestleMania, you will rest in peace," and then does the tongue in the eye thing, and everyone cheers.
Yeah, it is pretty much that. It's almost like Hogan doing his little fan
I can't
service
hear
at the
you.
end of his,
I can't hear you.
It's just a really easy pop that people get, isn't it? And
that's it.
Now there was a little bit of a mess up here. Now, just before I go into that, I mean, like I said, it was a great promo, and this could be the Taker Barack match. I think it's got the potential to be a 5-star spectacle worthy of a WrestleMania match with The Undertaker. I really do think these guys could turn it on. Cole messed up a little bit, though, during the night. It wasn't at this segment, it was later on saying the night, saying that, you know, talking about what Undertaker said about fear of the unknown, and said that Lesnar had never faced Taker before. JBL quickly corrected him and said it was only at WrestleMania that these guys haven't fought before.
Oh, it was King that said that he'd never faced,
They both. Oh, was it? Or was it King?
I don't know. King.
Sorry,
it was King, and then Cole picked him up.
Yeah. I know whoever it was. The other two really they corrected really quickly.
Idiots.
He must have forgotten there was a really long rivalry with Brock and Taker for a long time during Brock's first run, and it led to like a Hell in a Cell match. So yeah, they've definitely wrestled each other before, and they've been decent enough matches.
Well, I think they've been decent enough matches. I think it's just that whole thing is just like, you may have wrestled The Undertaker, but you haven't wrestled The Undertaker at Mania.
Yeah, sort of thing, yeah. Which is, I think, what the King was trying to say, but yeah, he did. The other two very quickly
failed on it.
yeah. This just kind of goes into actually the fact that King kind of has kind of tuned out of just WWE in general. You think with the network he'd be going back and watching a lot of matches, but I doubt he cares at this point, to be fair.
The fact that he called commentary on a lot of the matches as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these matches he was main on there with, you know, doing the kind of commentary, often on the heel side, because that's when he was doing it back then. But yeah. I think that I mean, King hasn't exactly been on the ball for a while now, and people know that by now. You know, his jokes haven't been good. And we did an old episode back in the early days of LTW, of where we actually spoke about the likeliness of JBL not just joining the panel but actually replacing him. This was actually back before JBL was part of the announced team, so
officially, yeah.
So that was quite interesting there. So we had the aforementioned Shield versus the Brotherhood match, which was Kane said they were going to exercise their loss where they lost the tag team championships. This match reminded me of my pick for the best match of last year. It wasn't as good, but it just still reminded me of that match, and this match was of good quality as well. It was a really good quality match, but the only problem is it's been so long that I've now gone back. Like, I watched this match and I was like, it's the same match. Well, essentially, than the one they had. There wasn't a lot of spots. It's like, that's new. Yeah. It's like, I mean, okay, it's a Raw show. It's not like for the titles. Not pay-per-view. Yeah, that's yeah. But it was still a very good match. But I sort of noticed, with the Brotherhood, Cody doesn't take a lot of the beating, does he? No, that's the way they run, isn't it? They get like, Goldust gets the shit kicked out of him, and then Cody comes out and goes, yay! Does his little flip over, roll over pin for a 2 count, and then disaster kicks a couple of people. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way that, I mean, it works quite well that way. I mean, you may think, oh God, you know, Goldust taking all this punishment, it must be really sapping on him, and why is he doing all the work? Actually, sometimes if you work a match like that, getting a beating taken out of you doesn't take as much of going in there and doing all these hot suplexes and getting in there and, like, you know, super kicking this guy, running against the ropes. You know, that can take out a lot more out of you. So that's the way that the wrestling goes. But yeah, that's the way that a lot of their matches go. This match was good. I'm not saying it was a bad match. Yeah, it wasn't as good. Like I said, it wasn't as good as the phenomenal match they had at Battleground last year. But nor would you expect it to be. They had a whole storyline building up to that one match at pay-per-view. So that's the way it goes. Seth Rollins though continues really good form. He looks really good in this match. And he finished this match. He got the win with that crazy boot stomp finisher thing that really does look a bit savage now. when I first saw it, I thought it was a little bit odd, but now I'm actually on board with it. I think it actually looks pretty
I
decent.
think the one thing is quite odd with it is the fact that Seth Rollins is meant to be the architect of the Shield.
Mm.
You know, he got that really good reversal, didn't he? Where like Cody went to pull his legs and
and he flipped up,
and he ended up just doing sort of backflipping and landing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's the architect, and he pulls out all these things, and then his finisher is something as simple as a boot on the back of the head, driving your face into the ground. It's
quite
like
brutal, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, look at that, all technicality. That's just brutal.
Yeah. But you know what? That's what a finisher should be. I think if you have an overly technical finisher, I was never a huge fan of the GTS by Punk, you know, and that's, you know, you could call that a technical finisher, you know, or anything like that. But
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I mean, I think moves like the RKO, Stunner, and like spears and stuff like really hard hitting, impactful stuff that can come out of nowhere.
Quick finish.
Yeah, and this is one of those finishes you could do from crazy situations, you know. So fair play to him with that. I think that's okay. I think he's going to add a little bit. He's going to have to do what Roman Reigns did and get a lot more into his arsenal if he's going to start building up a moveset that people can get behind. You look at Roman Reigns; he's got that jumping double drop kick now on the outside. He's got his Superman punch.
I don't think he did the Superman punch.
No, not in this match. He didn't know. You know, he's got a lot of moves now that are kind of trademarked by him. And the more that Seth Rollins does that the same, then that will be good for him when he eventually goes into singles. They did win it. They won this match. So you know, good for them. And they, like I said, there was no dissension with the Shield. Not like there was at the.
No, I mean, I was slightly worried. I was sort of watching Ambrose. I was like, he's going to jump in the ring.
Yeah.
He's going to get involved. He's going to cause them the match, but he didn't.
No, they did exactly what they've been doing all of last year. You know, the whole 2013. They just basically won
beating
matches.
people up.
Yeah, that's it. So, good match. We went from a good match to a not so good match. The Bellas against AJ and Tamina. Now, Natalia was on commentary here, and I'd like to.
Ooh, that salvaged it.
I actually quite enjoyed Natalia on commentary this week, and I'll tell you why.
She's one of the better divas on commentary, to be fair.
Well, sometimes she could be a bit of a stinker, I will admit that. But here's some of the quotes that she was saying, you know, on commentary. I picked out a few here because I was quite happy to see a diva saying all this, even though they weren't particularly in the title run or their best friends fighting, you know, the champion and stuff like this, you know, because normally they go out and say, oh, you know, even though I'm fighting for them, I hope that everyone just gets their chance at the belt and everyone deserves to be champion. They're all great girls. This is what she said. I am the best diva in WWE.
I just hope everyone can get along.
Yeah. She said this. I'm the best diva in WWE. I'm coming for the belt, and you better believe I'm the next Divas champion. I would like more girls, if they're going to be on commentary, doing this same sort of thing. The more you have, even if they're faces and heels, saying that we're going for the belt, makes it seem as if it's a little bit more competitive, rather than having just the chosen person of that flavour of the month going for the belt than losing. So I quite enjoyed the fact that Natalia seemed very sort of focused on, I am the best. I firmly believe I'm the best wrestler in the company, and I'm going to be
I think that sort of plays off because apparently AJ at one point was saying how that there's no diva that can stand up to her. Like she has no what's the word I'm thinking of? Like nobody on parallel to her sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of goes with it. Like Natalia's just like I am.
Yeah.
And I'll fucking show you.
Yeah. Now she did the annoying thing of saying, "Oh, I hope that the Bellas win this match. I hope they get AJ and stuff like that." Which you know,
well, of course, because she's on the Total Diva side.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but you know, for those reasons, actually, some of those quotes there. I mean, I would like more of the divas to be doing that. If we're going to start getting into this divas division, we need to think that not all these girls are behind who the number one contender is, and we'll wait our turn. We want people to be scratching and clawing and getting their ways to the belts. That's the way it works. Yeah. So fair enough. I quite enjoyed that personally. Nikki Bella got the victory here, and with the end of this match, it looks as if either her or Natalia will be involved, or maybe both of them will be involved at WrestleMania with AJ. We don't know. They haven't got.
You had the sort of because Nikki took the belt, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh yeah, look at me! I should have this belt." And then Natalia sort of got on the apron. And it's like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going for the belt first because you mean she had a title match at main event, which I've heard and I've seen little clips of the match, but not all of it. That it was really high quality. Apparently, it was one of the best Divas matches they've had in a very long time. Yeah, Natalia AJ, and a lot of talk was going around this match. The fact is that there's been a lot of rumors going around that AJ is going to be punished with the whole CM Punk thing going on, and they're going to take the belt away from her at WrestleMania. They weren't going to make her lose it. They're going to make her lose it at WrestleMania. She wouldn't even get on the card. I knew that wasn't going to happen because it's just there's no money to be made in having AJ lose at not even on a Raw and then having her not involved in the main event. Well, she's got this epic title reign.
The thing is, I don't see the whole, because this is all because of Punk, when there was already rumours before Punk left of it changing hands.
Yeah.
Title reigns end.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that the way that it works, I know we talk about payoffs, but if you're going to have one of the Total Divas girls wins it, which obviously they're going to do, they're very hot on Total Divas, then they're going to get the win at WrestleMania, especially the way that they've booked Total Divas before. There was an episode that involved the girls crying the fact they weren't on the WrestleMania card. They got the big payoff on their reality show of one of them winning the belt at WrestleMania, and it's like, come full circle, blah blah blah. But in terms of us wrestling fans, it makes sense to have the big heel that's been the champion for so long lose the belt at WrestleMania to the face. It just AJ's heel.
Yeah, I know, but AJ's that awkward heel.
Well, she's an awkward heel for us, but I mean the general wrestling fans would see her.
Okay, she's bad. Yeah. All right, okay.
The Total Diva watcher would think that she's bad.
We'll stick it with the actual labels rather than like what we think.
That's it. Yeah. So it is what it is. We're going to see what they have planned. I think they're going to have Natalia, Nikki Bella, AJ, maybe triple threat, or maybe they'll have another person come in. Maybe it looks like whatever plans they had for. It looks like whatever plans they had for Naomi to come back, they're either not going to do them or they're going to insert her really late into this match. So we'll see how it goes from there. You would not put anyone that isn't on the Total Divas on. I wouldn't bet on anyone that isn't in the Total Divas cast to be inserted into this match. They definitely want the Total Divas in this match because of they are really happy with the way the Total Divas is going. WWE.
Karma.
Yeah. I don't see that happening though. But wishful thinking there, Matt. Wishful thinking. Renee Young interviewed LL Cool J and Chris O'Donnell of NCIS.
I skipped this bit.
I watched it, and the reason being is because I actually quite enjoy NCIS whenever I watch it. It is actually in the middle of the day.
I enjoy NCIS, but I literally just thought of like celebrity plug.
Yeah.
Skip it.
But we promised to review every segment of Raw, so I make sure I watch every segment. LL Cool J said that apparently if he could have any wrestler join them on the show, it would be The Undertaker, which would be quite ominous if they're busting down doors and taking in drug lords, and The Undertaker's just,
this sort of 6'10" guy, just like.
Yeah, in his cloak, with the with
jacket and all,
with his druids behind him, that could be quite odd. But if they did have NCIS, out of more curiosity, I'd watch it, even though obviously that never happened. But it's just the idea of it is just quite funny in my head. So
even if he's just the criminal in one of the episodes,
there you go. That's it. Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah, it'd be like the Scooby-Doo WrestleMania thing,
Like if they were chasing a cult, then you have the Undertaker as the cult leader.
Yeah, could work.
I'll give him ideas again.
And unfortunately, that they found him on WrestleMania Day, and he's pretty much unbeatable. So,
yeah.
Oh dear. The best segment this year on Raw, in my opinion, happened now. Daniel Bryan came out.
Oh yes.
He aired his grievances. He said basically a lot of the stuff that he said beforehand about the Authority beating him down and stuff like that. But at the end, towards what looked like was going to be the end of his promo, he beckoned some of the Yes movement down to the ring. And the ring got filled with a lot of Daniel Bryan fans all wearing the new Yes t-shirt.
The ring got filled, like, all around the ring.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in and around. Including one fan who kept giving Daniel Bryan hugs all the way throughout the segment. I don't know if you
a very touchy older Asian man. Yeah.
So
especially just like he's doing a
Asian,
promo. It was like an Indian sort of.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
He wasn't.
He looked it.
Okay, regardless. He liked Daniel Bryan a lot. So
there was a lot of cuddles, and it's just like, oh, Daniel Bryan's doing a promo, and it's like camera phone right in his face.
Yeah.
Yes, all on tape.
So yeah, he got his moments with the guy. Fair enough. If we were in the ring, we may have got a few pictures of us doing selfies of him in there.
One thing I don't understand is the fact that you could see people like, obviously you had. After that, when Daniel Bryan was just like, we're not going anywhere, we are here to occupy Raw, and we're not going to go until we get what we want, and out came the Authority. And you had people in the ring, you had people blocking the gantry-way, you had people like blocking that, but the camera panned out, and you still had like 4 or 5 people on the opposite side of the ring, like, in front of commentary. It's like, oh no, I kind of want to be involved.
I'm kind of thinking that maybe I don't want to be involved in the segment anymore. So
it's like, dude, get involved.
Yeah, I'll be up there. I'll be one of the ones at the front. Why not? If you can do something, go all out.
The one that Triple H be picking on. It'd be the fat man and the cripple.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Me and my cane, and you just like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. What a sorry sight we would be. Yeah. So. Triple H and Steph, as you said, they came out. They looked unimpressed. They just seemed as if, this is going to be really silly. Triple H sends 2 security guys to go deal with what was like 30-plus fans. Yeah. Which kind of says more about Triple H's brain power, if anything. He just kind of goes on a hissy fit then, Triple H, and then he says we're going to continue with the show. He sends out Damien Sandow, who...
kind of felt bad for Sandow. Yeah. It's like, you, go... be pointless.
Yeah, essentially, and just get shouted at by Steph as well as they come back out. Steph decided to blow her gasket to entertaining effect. That's made it
Jesus Christ, yeah, like proper Steph rage, wasn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, the whole arena's is hers. Daniel Bryan is hers.
Yep.
Yeah, quite romantic there. And Triple H drops a bombshell next. After all this, saying that Daniel Bryan won the match with him, he said that he's been protecting Daniel Bryan all along. Since
SummerSlam, yeah.
It seems so clear now. Of course.
How did I not see this?
Yeah, maybe all the beatings and screwings. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, that's what they're going for anyway, just to make us go, what the hell is going on? But yeah, fair enough. So yeah, he accepts the match with Daniel Bryan. The fans get a good pop when he does that. And then Daniel Bryan reminds himself that that's not all he wanted. If he beats Triple H, then he wants to be in the title match at Wrestlemania. Triple H then blows his gasket, and then he agrees to it all.
Accepts as he gets dragged away by security.
In one segment, they basically fixed WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You could have what was one of the... Yeah, go on.
I wouldn't want to be... like, I know, like, Daniel Bryan's done quite a lot of gauntlet matches and all that lot recently, but that sort of double duty...
No, I don't expect the Triple H and Daniel Bryan match to last too long, or maybe the other way around. Maybe the Triple H and Daniel Bryan match, or he probably won't even... we know what the endings of WrestleMania will be now. I firmly believe that Bryan will get the double win. They wouldn't have put this in there otherwise, they had to do the payoff. So what they may have is that he might have a long, lengthy match with Triple H, and then he may be so messed up, and that Batista and Randy Orton probably will wrestle the majority of the start of that match.
Just leave Batista and Randy Orton to blow
they may do like a finisher on him, and that way he'll be out of the match for a while, then come in at the end and steal it.
If Daniel Bryan gets the pin on Batista, it'll be the best thing ever.
Yeah, I would like a rivalry with Bryan and Batista as a face and heel.
Yeah, Batista can't go at Bryan's pace.
Yeah, one thing. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. They already had a match, and obviously it wasn't great, but we'll go into a little bit later why I think that could work. The thing I would say though with this is that if you had Batista and Randy Orton, it would have been an absolute flop, and I think WWE was smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
And given this, you're basically giving Bryan what could be the biggest push, or the biggest WrestleMania push of anyone, to beat Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista in the same night in 2 different matches and walk out champion. That's probably the biggest payoff I've ever seen a face get after a program.
Yeah, especially sort of like a face that's been sort of kicked in the dirt, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying
this whole segment. Like, as it turns out, and like with this payout that he's going to be getting, and like with the story that's led up to it, and obviously what happened on Raw with the occupation of Raw, just awesome.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Such like the best, probably one of the best segments like they pulled out.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I like this, and the fact is that it moved the sort of, like I said, it moved things along really quickly. The whole storyline. I mean, last week Triple H didn't want anything to do with Bryan, and it looked like he didn't even want to wrestle him. We were saying, come on, by this time Triple H would want to, it should be a blood feud at this point. These guys would want to rip each other's heads off. But they got to that point really quickly now. Now Bryan took things into his own hands, and Triple H feels demasculated, feels out of control. And so fair enough, that's fine. And then obviously, everyone, it doesn't even matter, you don't even have to have a storyline involving Bryan in the title match. The fact that he's going to be there and he's going to win it is story enough in itself. So, that's okay. So yeah, really good. If you haven't got a lot of time to watch Raw, I would highly recommend that you see this and the Undertaker Paul Heyman segment, because I thought that was quite interesting as well. So after that great segment, the ring was cleared of the Daniel Bryan fans. The occupation was dissipated, and we were treated to the Sheamus Christian match 2085.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. This epic saga has run on longer than Father Time itself.
This was expected.
Yeah.
To be fair, the WWE universe, like, you get to pick, and it's like, street fight, yes please.
Yeah, and they called it a Memphis street fight. Of course, it was going to get picked in Memphis. Sometimes they do this, don't they? They make it so they're going to do what they want to do. This is my only
problem. I now have a problem. I realised during this match, I have a problem with some stipulation matches. Street fight in the ring.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Falls count anywhere in the ring.
Yeah.
It's like, when was the last time? Like, they don't even do it on the games anymore. Like, do you remember some of the old like SmackDown vs. Raw games where it's like you could have a Falls count anywhere match, and you could end up in a bar.
Yeah, just randomly. Yeah, you could go. Yeah, or you could fight in Times Square. I remember that as a kid playing that. Yeah,
but it's just like. But now it's like Falls count anywhere matches don't go past the Titantron.
Yeah,
it's like anywhere that everyone can still see you. Yeah. I mean, I can understand for fans. It's like, just watch the screen. There's nothing going on here at the moment, but it adds so much more. Actually, I know it was just a brawl, wasn't it? When Wade Barrett pushed Randy Orton down the stairs.
Yeah, it was.
That wasn't actually a segment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
That was a match.
Was it? But it was on SmackDown, though. I mean, I know we say this before, that sometimes SmackDown does have some good matches and stuff, but anything that's relevant on SmackDown, they won't keep it just on SmackDown. They'll do it on Raw. The fact they did it on SmackDown is quite telling, really, the fact they did that. But, the fact is
care for this match.
They're guilty of doing this a lot. I mean, just in terms of the polls. They will put one clear favourite out and put two guys that no one in their right mind would pick for, and they did this with this. They do it a lot. So they don't have to make 3 different scripts. They can just do whatever they like, and they'll do it there.
It was all pretty much the same thing, wasn't it? Like the Memphis street fight, a Falls count anywhere, and I can't remember what the other stipulation was. They were essentially the same match, just will it or won't it have weapons?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know. Will it or won't it have musical instrument for weapons?
Yeah. What kind of weapons are you going to be dealing with? Yeah. So, to be fair, I mean, this match was good. I will give it its point. It was very brutal. But does the quality of the match really matter at this point when we're already burnt out of this feud? We really are.
Bored of it.
We just don't want to see it anymore. And I like Sheamus. I do. I like Christian. But come on, we've seen these guys just fight each other for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. It doesn't matter. The first match wasn't very good. I mean, you can only have multiple matches if the first one is something really mind-blowing, like the Shield and Wyatt match. We're all willing to watch more matches with them. But they didn't blow us out of the water the first time these guys wrestled with each other. So that's the way it goes. So Sheamus gets the win again. So he uses the bro kick through a drum that knocks out.
That was clever.
Yeah, it was clever, but I mean, we've seen these guys just beat each other up for a long time now. Like I said, this match itself was good, and it was quite brutal, but we're not really interested in it anymore. That time has gone. So,
I thought it was pretty tame.
Well, the actual brutality of the match.
Yeah.
Well, Sheamus has a lot of damage on his back.
Oh, Sheamus has a lot of welts, but that's because he's pale and there was a kendo stick.
Yeah, you're probably quite right there.
But I think it's just like, this is kind of what's going to come back and bite them in the arse with the network, though. Like, I feel like I thought it was too tame because I might have watched an ECW DVD a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Now, on the WWE Network, you can go and watch ECW.
Yeah. Now, the only thing with that is that
it's just like, no, look at all this violence.
I'd be interested to see how much they actually cut out, because I know there's been a lot of cutouts in the network from here on out. There have been a few cutouts of what the stuff that's.
Well,
happened.
I know they've shown like video sections, and they were like on YouTube they have this like 5 things you'll learn about or something like that with the WWE Network. And it's like, we've had to do this in black and white, but don't worry, it's completely uncensored, because apparently black and white makes blood invisible.
Yeah.
But
all the Ric Flair matches will now be put in black and white because that guy just busts up for no reason. But yeah, I mean, I know for a fact they have censored some of it.
Rick, what? I'm going for a cutter. Thunk. Woo! Damn it, Rick!
Yeah, blood everywhere. Yeah, I know for a fact though with the network they have censored some stuff, and some stuff you kind of think, well, you know, back in the early days of when they were whipping out boobs here and there in some of the Raws and stuff, they'd have to censor that, especially with kids watching.
Bra and panties matches.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're still there, the bra and panties matches, because they can get away with it.
The only problem is, like, you sort of wonder, it's like, if WWE had some sort of record, like WWE Network, like how many times people have searched for most searched items, like, you know, like WrestleMania 3, like just to watch the pay-per-view. But if people if you can search for stipulations, like, every steel cage match, every bra and panties matches, it just perv, just comes up on the screen.
Yeah.
We caught you. You won't ever get to learn about the cat.
yeah. There we go. The whole saga that surrounded her, and her tartars out in public. But there we are. We'll. Yeah, I know for a fact that stuff would have got sent. I know that has been censored because you just can't do that. You can't. So, you know, for all their thing about it being uncensored, it is censored. But you know, that's the way it is. Going to the end of the show now. We had a backstage promo with Maddox, Orton and Batista. It was a really sort of cut and dry promo. Just them going along the lines of, you need to beat up Daniel Bryan tonight because of what he's done. Set aside your differences. Blah, 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 blah. Pretty much what
Orton's just like, if it's for the good of the authority, I'll do it. And Batista was like, meh, and walked off.
Yeah, essentially that. We had a copy and paste promo from Alexander Rusev. Basically exactly saying what we had last week. So
more live Rusev.
We couldn't say anything last week. We can't say anything this week. So
Rusev was there.
Yeah. Moving on. We had a lovely little backstage promo with the Wyatts again.
Bryan, a genius promo. Yeah. Like, it was another great one.
It was. It was great. He accepted the match with John Cena, and they will face each other at the WrestleMania, and. I think it'd be good. It would be a pretty decent match, and I'm looking forward.
I loved was just like, like, do you see yourself in Hogan, John? And it's just like, it's so true.
Yeah.
Like, you have Hogan, and then you had like The Rock, and now you've got Cena, and they're the same. They fill the same slots, like of the originals. Like 30 years ago, you had Hogan.
Yeah.
15 years ago, you had The Rock. And now you've got John Cena and Austin, and now you've got Cena.
Yeah. And
it sort of fills each, like there's always that slot to fill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that top.
It was just a brilliant promo though. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it's kind of true. At the end of the day, you have the most to lose.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And like I said, I firmly believe that Bray Wyatt will beat him at WrestleMania.
I want Bray Wyatt to beat him. Yeah.
So, another great
I look forward to Prediction Day.
Yeah, isn't it? So that led up to the main event where we had Batista and Randy Orton against the Big Show, who doesn't seem to have anything to do with this rivalry, but he's just in it for why not? And Daniel Bryan. I would like to make a note here that Batista looked a little bit better in this match than he has done recently, but I have to remind myself this is a tag team match. There's not actually as much required of him.
He can have a breather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get the oxygen tank out, get a bit of air in his lungs. I hope that he'll get better towards WrestleMania. He's not bad, Batista. I mean, he is at the moment, but he's not bad. Once he gets into proper fitness and maybe the years have caught up to him a bit more, once he gets more ring rust off, he can have some decent matches. He can, but yeah, I mean, him having a one-on-one match against Randy Orton could be like the slowest match of all time. So
yeah, considering that Randy Orton doesn't necessarily go at a very quick pace either.
yeah, exactly. So having Daniel Bryan in that match, he pretty much fixes that. It doesn't put as much pressure on Batista to perform, and he seems to be enjoying being a heel, which I think suits him a bit more. I think he likes being a heel more.
Yeah.
So that's okay. The match itself was okay. It was more of a showcase of Daniel Bryan's ability. At the end of the match, the Big Show and Batista were out of the ring, and Daniel Bryan then reversed a few moves from Orton, gave him the big knee, called the move that beat John Cena, which was on Wiki for ages. I thought that was good. And he got the win. He finished this strong. He got the win, went up on the turnbuckle and celebrated, and that's how Raw finished this week. Quite
that's it.
Black and
the
white
massive
compared
yes,
to
John.
last week, where he was demolished.
Yeah.
So, all in all, quite an interesting Raw, especially with a few segments here worth watching. Some of the quality of the matches weren't that great, but it was good enough here. Some good wrestling to be seen. More to do with the Shield Brotherhood match, and listen, the Sheamus and Christian match was fine. If you haven't seen them wrestle each other, then you'll enjoy this more than me and Matt did.
If you haven't seen them wrestle each other, where the hell have you been?
Yeah, you haven't been watching the last couple of weeks, that's for damn sure. So overall, were you entertained by this week's Raw?
I enjoyed Raw.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it's safe to say I could ridicule it, but I enjoyed Raw.
Yeah, exactly. We don't like giving like Raw, like the weeks of Raw like a score out of 10 or giving a percentage or whatever.
Like something must have gone down. Yeah, so like something must have gone terribly wrong for me to have not enjoyed a Raw.
And there has been a few times it's gone horribly wrong. To be
that
told,
is true.
Yeah. But no, this show was definitely not one of them. There was good stuff to be seen here. A lot of Bray Wyatt, which is great. A lot of Shield, which is great. Paul Heyman,
section, great.
So yeah, all in all, pretty good. And obviously Daniel Bryan segment, which was really interesting, really awesome. One of the best segments I've seen on Raw in a very long time. Very good.
That's it.
So, that's our Raw review for this week. I hope you guys did enjoy the show as well. Like I said, we don't hope that you don't enjoy Raw. We hope that you do, because we want you to be entertained. It seems odd for us as podcasters to say, we hope that you didn't like it. We hope that you like it, even if you don't.
I hope you just listen to what I have to say, but you didn't like it.
I really hope that you guys do enjoy what you're watching. I don't like when podcasts are like, oh, you shouldn't enjoy this. When people do, then kudos to them. You get your entertainment where you can find it, sort of thing.
That's
it. We're going to talk a little bit now, this week's topic. If you haven't caught up with us before, you're a new listener to the podcast, what we do, if it's not prediction week, or if there's anything that we got, anything in particular that we're going to talk about, we go through a alternation between having a Superstar Spotlight and the topic of the week. Last week we did a Superstar Spotlight on Triple H, so if you're interested in seeing that, go back and watch the end of our last podcast.
That's it.
Went through his entire career, quite an interesting bit of the podcast there. But this week we have our topic, and this week's topic is how wrestling in general and fan response has changed over the course of 30 years. Now, we could spend like a really long time talking about this. It's actually technically an episode of its podcast on its very own. So I think
we could fill an episode, to be fair.
Yeah, we could. There's a lot of differences. The main things I'm going to look at here, two different things I'm going to look at. Is the differences in matches and the way the wrestling's done, and the differences in the way that fans take their wrestling. So first of all, that's a big thing of it, isn't it? When we look back at the likes of WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 30, there is no kayfabe anymore, and the reason for that is because social media is so. It runs rampant.
Huge. We're talking. Kayfabe was dead before social media, so we can.
It was dead when the internet came into the ascendancy. That's what I would say. When information was very easily travelled from dirt sheets over to other people. When
somebody could post online, just seen such and such in such a place, and then bam.
Yeah, show a picture of it, and there you go. Sort of thing. And the likes of wrestling journalists and dirt sheets that popped up, that destroyed kayfabe. That was just going to happen. It was going to happen eventually. It does destroy a bit of the magic of wrestling, but that's just the way that wrestling evolved. The fans nowadays are a lot harder to please. I'm just going to say we and Matt are a lot harder to please than wrestling fans back in 30 years ago. We expect high quality, fast paced matches that have good spots that tell a story. Back about 30 years ago, you didn't need all those qualities. You could wrestle relatively very slowly and have a very slow, long-paced match. Back in those days, they used to have 60-minute time limits, and they wouldn't run at the pace of a Seth Rollins or Daniel Bryan or.
Well, that's it. You're also talking sort of like World of Sport rules, where it's like, the following match is the best of 3 with like 5-minute rounds as well. It wasn't necessarily just like to the pinfall.
Yeah, you're going very far back now. Yeah, they did make that transition, especially as the WrestleMania years rolled on by, that they wanted much cleaner finishes. I mean, a lot of matches back in the day, they used to have these 60-minute time limits, and a lot of them would end in draws. That's how they build up these epic rivalries that these guys couldn't beat each other after an hour.
Basically, an Iron Man match.
Yeah, essentially. So that's the way that they. That they go back at then, but fans used to eat that up because they didn't show up to watch a wrestling match. They showed up to watch two of these unbelievable characters fight off against each other, and they firmly believed that Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan. They firmly believed that Andre the Giant was who he was when he came out. There was no way to differentiate what was and what was not.
Nowadays everyone knows that. Everyone is like, oh, it's sports entertainment, but everyone knows that it's an act.
Yeah, it's
And you're talking back then where it's just like, you'd watch it as like they genuinely have beef and they genuinely want to go in there and hurt each other.
Yeah. I mean, the belief was much different back then, and because fans believed that, and because at the end of the day, back then you got the likes of having a body slam and a leg drop as a finisher. Now your finisher has to be a corkscrew jumping off the top rope. Inverted dive to be a finisher sort of thing.
Adrian Neville
style, yeah. To be a finisher. Back in the days, you could suplex someone, and that would be a finisher. And that's just because wrestling evolves. New guys are going to come in. They're going to innovate. They're going to do crazy things. Back in the day, you look at the likes of Bruno Sammartino. He wouldn't have gone up to the top rope and done all these crazy spins because that's not what fans wanted. Then they wanted big, tough guys beating each other up, and that's what they got.
I think you're talking back then as well was like there wasn't so much a storyline to anything. A lot of the promos was very sort of boxing. It's just like he deserves to be the champion and he's going to be the champion rather than and then you start going into like nowadays where there's a story into it.
Yeah,
it's like I don't need the title. Like even if it's like some of the biggest matches don't involve titles.
Yeah.
Shield versus Wyatt didn't involve a title.
Yeah.
But it was two factions that each had a story that intertwined, and as a result, you wanted to see them fight.
Yeah.
But you would back then, you wouldn't get that. You'd literally just especially when you're thinking with, what was it? WWWF.
Yeah, back in those days.
In Madison Square Garden, where it's literally like once a month.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have time. There was no time to get stories going. It was just like, we've been here 6 months. I've won 5 of my 6 matches. I deserve a shot at the belt.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
And that's all it would be.
One of the best ways I can look at it, for one of the biggest anticipated rematches of all time was Shawn Michaels against Undertaker 2 at WrestleMania. Now, normally, back in the day, if you had a great match at a big event, then you would be expected to do a rematch. You wouldn't even need a storyline to go along that. So, these two guys would have been, okay, these guys had a world beater match. The next big event, they're going to go against each other. It's just the way it works. That's the way that booking happened back then. You just have, if these two guys have a great match and they have such good chemistry and they get
a good match, guess what? You're going to do it again.
You're going to do it again. You didn't even need a storyline. But the fact is that, back when they Shawn Michaels did go against Undertaker, they run the storyline of Shawn Michaels going above and beyond to try and get Undertaker to face him again. He screwed him out of the belt, at Elimination Chamber, where he came out of the grating and soup kicked him, gave Chris Jericho the win. So there was a storyline that surrounded Shawn Michaels actually getting that rematch back. Whereas, 30 years prior to that, you wouldn't have needed that, and fans wouldn't have expected it. They wouldn't have liked it almost. They would expect just, okay, these two guys had a big match and they're going to have it again. That's the way it goes. That's how wrestling has changed. And like I said, in terms of like kayfabe, kayfabe is never going to come back because the flow of information is too readily available, and it's only
the internet has ruined kayfabe. That's essentially it.
It's the way it is. We have to accept that. It's the way things go. Wrestling has done a pretty decent job of evolving over time, and I don't think wrestling would survive now if it acted the way it did 30 years ago. It just wouldn't work. People wouldn't get invested.
Oh yeah.
Now there's still some good virtues that you could get back from that. Back from that era. Of course there is, but you wouldn't be able to run the same show 30 years ago and make it work today. It wouldn't work.
No,
that's the way it goes.
People could just get bored of the product.
They would, yeah, because
it's just like, but why is it happening?
Especially the fact that,
there's a lot of questions now.
3 hours of Raw. I mean, these guys didn't have to fill that slot every week, you know, and having 2 hours of SmackDown each week and everything like that. But like I said, back in those days, you know what sold tickets? It wasn't WWE's name; it was the wrestlers that you had. It was Hulk Hogan selling the tickets.
I mean, you weren't talking like you were talking back in the time, like when I referred to it earlier, like WWF at Madison Square Garden. It wasn't. It was under a promotion.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like now, like, oh, you can only see John Cena if you go to a WWE show.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking back then where it's like, oh, if you want to see San Martino and people like that, you don't necessarily have to go to Madison Square Garden. There are other places to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, back in the days, the reason why the WWE Championship, or WWF Championship as it was back then, was created is because they didn't want the likes of San Martino to be going to other companies, because back then they shared the belt with the AWA, so they wanted to have their own belt and get this guy under contract under their own roof, so they didn't have to share the talent around.
Yeah,
one of the things that they did to take control. And back then, like I said, I mean, just having an individual guy be so, I mean, we say John Cena is integral to the success of WWE, and you know, to a degree he is, but nowhere near as much as, let's say, Hulk Hogan back was in his heyday. She got paid a healthy sum of money by a rival promoter to break Hulk Hogan's legs.
Yeah,
because that would have killed WWE at that time. You know, not having Hulk Hogan wrestle for them.
That's it.
And as we know now, he didn't take the money. He looked after Hulk Hogan, which is quite an interesting little bit of early WWF lore.
Yeah. Back then, it was dirty.
Yeah, it was. And so, yeah, it was just quite interesting, though, the fact that, you know, that's one of the big differences, the way the WWE operates from 30 years from today. Back then, it was the names like Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Andre the Giant that would fill the seats. It wasn't the WWE banner that would do it, but now it is the WWE banner that sells the seats. When WWE comes to town, it's the WWE banner that sells those tickets. You
don't even need to know the card. Like, originally, like back then, it would be like, you know, tonight in such and such a place, you know, bell rings at, like, first bells at 7:30, and it would just say, like, this match, this match, this match. Now, WWE don't really have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They don't have to give you a card. They literally just go, we're in town. And then you just go, oh, it's the WWE. I know exactly what I'm going to be getting out of it.
Yeah.
And I know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And they don't, and you know, that's quite an intelligent move on WWE's part, because at the end of the day, as you said, I mean, if Iron Sheik had taken that money and broken Hulk Hogan's legs, they would have been out of business. That's just the way it goes. So now what they began this. I mean, Vince McMahon's been stung a lot where he's had pushed these guys and they've gone off to WCW. You know, look at like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, even Bret Hart went over to WCW, and you know, he's been burnt before, so making it so it's his company that sells the tickets rather than the actual individual wrestlers makes it far safer for him. It means he doesn't have to worry about the likes of John Cena going to TNA, which is laughable, really.
Just the thought of it.
Yeah.
John Cena going to TNA would bankrupt TNA.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want to try and snatch me away from WWE? Well, I hope you can afford this. Oh, yeah, I can, for about 2 months, and then we're going to go under.
Yeah, and then, the entire company is dead. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we could sit here for ages and talk about all this different stuff, but we'll quit while we're ahead. The main thing that I go in summary of our topic this week, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about it as well, is that fans now are a lot harder to entertain, because we've been entertained by the same wrestling company by a very long time, and we expect more. The more that WWE raise the bar, we expect more as fans. And I
think in that is expecting more is where. Well, it's sort of like an evolution of things. Like we were earlier on saying how like a body slam and a leg drop was a finisher. But I think it's just like eventually that has to end. Yeah. And that's where like the bigger moves have come from. Like there's only so long. Like, oh my god, he kicked out of the body slam. Like nobody's ever done that before. And now the body slam's instantly been made weak.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's on to the next thing, and then it goes on like, oh, well, the body slam. What's next? Well, power bomb.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And then that's like the next bigger, more impactful move.
There's only so far that people can do these finishes without breaking their own bodies and repetitive.
That's it. To make it safe, but also to make it look like it hurt. Yeah. Like it meant something.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, that's quite interesting. The fact that wrestlers are a lot more protected nowadays than they were back then as well. We've got a lot of science that goes back into looking at head injuries, and they get WWE says they get regular drug tests. Well, back in the day, they were hopped up on steroids. We know this; it's fact.
That's it. That's the one thing I quite liked. Actually, it was at the start of this Raw. And Hogan was referring to Ultimate Warrior and dropped the term juiced up.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, dude, why?
You had to add that in there,
all of that, like, trying to keep him on the, like, I'm not trying to keep him clean, but, like, trying to keep him on good terms, and you go and drop that. It's like,
well done. Someone spoiled it now.
But there we go. But it's common knowledge.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, everyone
and
knows
it was a time that was acceptable.
Not only acceptable, it was the norm. Everyone
Expected.
was juicing up at that time, and if you didn't, you fall behind. That's the way that it was working. So,
yeah.
So, is there anything else that you would like to add on that? I think we've done
I think we've done pretty good without going off into a hour-long discussion.
Yeah, we've put the brakes on earlier because otherwise this end up being like a 3-hour podcast, and
Yeah.
I don't have time to listen to a 3-hour podcast any day. So,
that's it.
So, apart from that, then, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and if you did, leave us a like. If you're new to the series and the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you won't miss any episodes. Me and Matt every now and then, especially getting close to WrestleMania, we do our pay-per-view reviews in the middle of the week rather than the end of the week. So subscribe.
Forget about it all.
Yeah, you don't want to miss any episodes, so subscribe to the channel and that way you'll catch all of them. To the people supporting the show, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all the plugging really I can do.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else today.
Yeah, so thanks a lot again, guys, for watching the episode, and we'll see you again next week for more Let's Talk Wrestling.
We'll catch you soon.
Bye-bye.